Hi book lovers, it's Jetty with Julie Baby Jen's Reading Room, and this is day 1 in the 15-day vlogger challenge.
Busted!
I just found out about this challenge yesterday and I decided to go ahead and try it. I'm having a little bit of a blogging slump this summer. Not a terrible one, but it's definitely there, and it's just, I'm sure it's just because it's summer and I don't really want to sit on the computer for long periods of time, I think, and type things out and write things. I'm no problem reading. I've been reading really well, but reviews have not gotten written and I don't know if they ever will. But we're gonna move on, and I thought a fun thing to try would be this challenge. So it's 15 days, so the next 15 days hopefully I will post the following sequential 15 days. If I miss a day, I'll just skip it. But today is day 1, and the challenge for today is 15 book-related confessions. This was really hard for me to come up with. I'm like, I came up with like the first 5 really quickly, and then I'm like, I can't think of anything that's really that strange, I guess, that I do relating to books, but other than I read really fast, but everybody knows that, so that's not really a confession. So I came up with 15, and hopefully you'll get to know me a little better with this. I'm sure there's probably something on this list you did not know about me. Alright, let's get started. These are in no particular order. This is just the order that I thought of them in, I guess. Number 1. I never write in my books. I know lots of people who do this, who write notes or whatever, especially in poetry and things like that. I cannot stand to write in my books, even inside like the cover, like my name or anything. Oh, I used to do that when I was younger, but no, I can't stand writing in my books. That just bugs me. And a few times I found my books with my kids have written in them, and I wasn't very thrilled, but I didn't really yell at them. It's amazing. If you look at some of my books, there's some that are in really great condition. Most of them are. And there's a few that aren't in such great condition. And the reason they're not in such great condition is because my kids have read them. They're not very gentle with my books. I do let them read my books all the time, but they're not gentle with them. I don't really yell at them for it because I'm just thrilled they're reading. They're not natural readers, my 3 older kids, and it's really hard to get them to read a book. So if they're interested in one of my books, I just let them read it, because I would rather, I guess, my children's loving books is more important to me than my actual books themselves. You can't put a price tag on kids loving books. So I go ahead and let them do whatever. But I myself take very good care of my books, and I never write in them. Number 2. This is not a surprising thing to anybody who knows me. I have too many books. Or it could be said I need a bigger house to hold all my books. I don't have hardly any of my books out. I just realized this when I was reorganizing my shelves. I thought I had most of my books out. I know I had some in storage. And then I thought I had some in my bedroom closet, and I do have some in there. But I was going through everything the other day looking for a specific book, or several specific books, and I can't find them. And I realized I really do have a lot more books in my storage than what I thought. So I have too many books. Well, that's subjective. Really, I don't think I have too many books, but my house thinks that I have too many books. Number 3. Yeah, sometimes I really love smutty romance novels. Enough said. Number 4. When I really get into a book, which is almost every time I read one, but yeah, the house could be burning down around me and I wouldn't know. I am so sucked into the book. I have reading experiences where I forget who I am, what I'm doing, that I'm even reading a book. I get so absorbed in it, and that will come into play with another one of my confessions I have to make. But yeah, it's really hilarious when I really start reading, because the only person who can really catch my attention is my husband. All he has to do is go like this to my neck, or just kind of go like that to my head, or even just walk in front of me. I'm so attuned to him that I will totally stop reading and look up and I'm like, what? Oh, nothing. He just likes to bug me. So, yeah, I'm really attuned to him. So I can tell when he's like trying to get my attention. But my kids, they'll be like, Mom, Mom, Mom! Before I'm like, what? I kind of hear him in the back of my head, but I don't respond. I ignore it because I figure if it's really important, they'll really get my attention. So, yeah. Number 5. This one I'm not particularly proud of, but one day I called in sick to work just so I could read all day. Not such a good thing, but it's not like I did it regularly. I only did it once, but I forget what book I really wanted to read even, but I didn't finish it the night before, and I really wanted to finish it, so I called in sick to work. Number 6. I am really starting to not like my Nook. I like the idea of my Nook. I like my Nook, but lately it's been irritating me. I don't know if it's just because I've had it almost 3 years, so it's getting old. It's so freaking slow loading anything. It doesn't seem to connect to my network half the time. And the other day I turned it on, and like it gave me like when I went to my library to pick a book, it like gave me a loading screen for like 10 minutes where it didn't show me books, it just said loading, which it does that occasionally, but then it loads. So I went back out to the main screen, went back to my library, and it did the same thing. So I played around with a few things. I checked my network and everything, and then I went back to it, and then it said I didn't have any titles in my library, which is insane. I have over 100. So I was like, what? Better not have erased. Well, of course, it wouldn't matter. It's on the cloud. But then I turned off the Nook, left it alone for 10 minutes, turned it back on, and then it finally loaded. So I don't know if it's just a glitch, but oh, that irritated me because I'm impatient with technology, and if it doesn't load right away, it really irritates me. So yeah, I'm starting to think that my Nook is dying, and I don't like that. Number 7. I wish my husband had bought me a Kindle. Got my Nook for Christmas a couple years ago, and it was the first e-reader I got, the only e-reader I've ever gotten. And I had said I really wanted one. I really had expressed that I wanted the Kindle. But my husband checked both, and he got me the Nook because you can replace the battery in it, or at the time you could replace the battery in it. I don't know if you still can. I would assume you can. And the Kindle you couldn't. I don't know if that's changed. The Kindle might have changed since then. This was a couple years ago. But he couldn't replace the battery, and so my husband's very tech-minded, and he likes things that he can fix on his own. There was a lot of things with the Nook that if something went wrong with it, he knew he could fix it. And the Kindle, he didn't think he could. So he was thinking down the road, which was smart of him. And also, my mom has a Nook, and she loves her Nook. She's actually bought 2 Nooks since then. Every time a new model comes out, she usually buys it. So she's like 3 or 4 Nooks now. She bought my grandma a Nook. My uncle has a Nook. So like my whole family, they all have Nooks or iPads. My one aunt and uncle and their whole family has iPads. So because of the lend me thing, my husband thought that would be good if I had a Nook so we could lend books. Well, yeah, we do, but lately we've had issues with lending books. It doesn't always work. And customer service with Barnes & Noble sucks. I've never really had to call customer service with Amazon, so I don't know if it's any better. But yeah, they're not helpful. And I hate their website. I hate Barnes & Noble's website so much. I've always loved Amazon. So that was kind of why I wanted a Kindle, because I use Amazon all the time. It just makes sense. So yeah, I wish he had bought me a Kindle, but I never told him that because I don't want to make him feel bad. He bought me an e-reader, which is what I asked for. So number 8. Alright, this goes back to number 4 about how I get so absorbed when I'm reading. My old job, which I haven't worked at for over a year, but my old job I used to work at, and I worked there like 6 years, I was constantly late from break because I always read on my breaks, and I would totally lose track of time. I eventually bought a timer to take with me in there so I could set it because I was late so much I got written up for it. So not a good thing, but it didn't stop me from reading on my breaks because anytime I have free time, I have to read. Number 9. All right, this one is the one I think I feel the worst about because I don't like ruining books, but I ruined a library book by accident. I like to read in the tub. It's one of my favorite things to do. Anymore, I don't do it as much because of what happened. I dropped a library book in the tub and ruined it. It was horrible. I tried to dry it and it was too wet. It was Juliet Immortal by Stacey J. So at least it wasn't like one of my favorite books ever read, but still, I had to buy the book because it was so ruined. There was no way they could recirculate it. And you can still read it. It's just the pages all and the bindings all warped. I looked for it because I have it, and I can't find it. I think it's in my storage shed because obviously it's kind of ruined, but I was going to show you how bad it was. So yeah, wasn't very proud of that. I don't read in the tub all the time anymore, and when I do, I only read cheap paperbacks of my own. I never take a library book in there. I've never taken my Nook in there. I know better. I'm a klutz, and I know I would drop it. And I've never taken my phone in there, which is what I read my Kindle books off of. So yeah, and occasionally I listen to audiobooks in there. Most of the time anymore, though, I just turn on the radio and just soak. Number 10. Okay, this one's a little creepy, actually. It creeped my husband Daryl out, too. And involves him. Back when we were dating, a long time ago, I think I was 18. Yeah, I know I was 18. So I was 18 when we were dating. 18 and 19. So we both worked together since I was 16 at my part-time job. He's much older than I am. And when we first started dating, there was another girl who worked with us. Her name was Amy. I can't think of her last name. But she was a witch, a real witch. And she was just a couple years older than me. And we became friends and hung out all the time. And she's the one who taught me how to do tarot readings, which I still do. I've never really absorbed the whole witch thing, but I know a lot about it. But she lent me a book about witchcraft, a kind of a witchcraft Bible type book, one of her favorite books that really explained it because I was curious. And so I read it and everything. Well, I forgot to give it back to her, and I had it like forever. And she quit. She only worked there with us a couple months. And I hadn't seen her in ages or heard from her for ages. And it was sitting in my car in the back rear window. So it was getting kind of bleached. It didn't look the best. And I was driving one day. I don't remember where. I think we were just road driving just to kill time. We were driving through the valley in the hills. It's really scenic. And my husband happened, or at the time my boyfriend, happened to notice in the book in the back, he's like, "What is that book?" And I explained, it was Amy's book, and I never returned it, and I haven't seen her in forever, and she moved, and I didn't even know her number. And he's like, "Oh, well," he never liked Amy. He really didn't. So he threw the book out the window. Which I'm just like, okay. I mean, I just was like, whatever. Threw the book out the window. The next day she called me. I was like, oh my god, she sensed that I threw her book away because she's a witch. And we got together, and Daryl was panicked. We went to her house, and he was scared she was going to hex him or something. I don't think she did. She wasn't that type of a person, really. He was panicked. She knew he threw it. And I said something about the book. I said, you know what? I remember that I had that book of yours, but I think I lost it. Because I didn't want to say that Daryl threw it out the window. So, yeah. That was really kind of... Now I laugh about it, but at the time, he was so panicked. It's kind of funny now. Number 11. I don't like the smell of old books. I like the smell of books in general, but I don't like the smell of old books. I think they smell grody. I don't like it. I like old books. I think they're cool, but yeah, I don't like the smell, and I know a lot of people do, but that's just not my thing. Number 12. I have no interest at all in reading 50 Shades of Grey. I have the trilogy. I got it, I think, at a garage sale, really cheap, back when it was first really popular. I have all 3 paperbacks. The first one, actually, I lent to my best friend because she really wanted to read it. She's not a very fast reader, and she's had it for several months. I don't know if she ever finished it, I saw her the other day and I forgot to, I always forget to ask because I don't really care. I do, I think, want it back eventually, and I probably will read it. The only reason I even got it was because everyone was talking about it. And, you know, like I said, I don't mind romances. It doesn't bother me. I do like reading them, but it just sounds weird. I don't know. Maybe I would totally get it if I read it, but I really don't have an interest to read it. Number 13. I have not finished the Vampire Academy series yet. Um, I bought all 6 of them. It was probably almost 2 years ago when Borders shut down. The books chain that closed. We had one in Ames, and they put all their books like at 50% off, and then like the week before they went down to like 70% off. So I went in and stocked up on a ton of books that I'd been interested in maybe reading because they were really cheap, and hardbacks and everything. And the Vampire Academy series is one of them that I bought. And then they sat on my shelf like a lot of my other books, just sat on my shelf forever. So last fall I started reading them, and I loved them. They're really good books. And I finished the 5th book in January, and I have the 6th book left, Last Sacrifice. I haven't read it yet, and I really, really need to. Number 14. This kind of goes back with the last one. I also haven't finished reading Reached, the Match trilogy, the 3rd one in that one, and that's been out for probably a year. I haven't finished reading Rapture, which is the Fallen series, and that's the last book. I only have the last book to read, but I haven't read it, and that's been out for, I know, at least a year. Serpent Shadow by Rick Riordan, the 3rd book and the last book in the Kane Chronicles, which I love that series. It's my favorite of his series, and I've read the first 2. I haven't read Serpent Shadow. I haven't read Enchantress, which is the 6th and last book in the Secrets of the Nicholas Flamel series, which I love that series even more than Rick Riordan's. And yeah, I haven't read that one. And I haven't finished The Inheritance, I guess it's Quartet, it was originally a trilogy, by the Aragon one. I can't think of the author right now. I haven't read the last 2. Those I understand a little more because they're big books. But I'm to the point now where it's been so long since I've read all the first books in those series, I have to reread the whole series to read the last book, which really irritates me. It's like I have one more book left, but I know I'm going to have to reread the whole series, or I'm not going to know what's going on, or it'll take a while before I get caught up on it. So, yeah. So I started rereading the Matched series. I read the first one. I haven't reread, and that was like beginning of the year. I think I reread Matched. I haven't reread Crossed yet. I haven't started rereading Nicholas Flamel or Kane. No, the Kane Chronicles I did reread the Red Pyramid, but I just have to reread Throne of Fire, which I don't know why I haven't, because it's not that long. Yeah, and then the Fallen series, I've reread Fallen and Torment, I think. No, I haven't read I started it. I haven't finished the reread. So, yeah. And then, of course, the Aragon series, I have to read all the Aragon, which that actually, these, you know, I love these books, so I'll be thrilled to reread them because I loved them so much, especially Aragon. I'm actually looking forward to rereading that, but I just want a time where I'm not so swamped with other books because they're so thick and long, although they didn't take me that long to read to start with. So yeah, I have a lot of unfinished series on my shelves, and I only have one book left. I really need to get on that. And finally, number 15. I have never been to an author's book signing before. Part of that is because where I live, and there just isn't that much really authors that I would want to go to in this area. They have sometimes in Des Moines, but there hasn't been anybody specifically that I really wanted to spend an entire day, drive all, down there and basically spend all day, or having time to do that, I guess. That's my biggest issue, I think, the time to do that. But what's really sad is there's been some, like in my old town, there was one of the school teachers there wrote some children's books, and she did some book signings at my favorite little bookshop that I go to all the time. I never made it to any of those, and that's kind of depressing. I should have gone to those because I haven't actually read her children's books, but they're just short little picture books, and I'm sure they'd be good. She's a great teacher, and I know her personally, so that was pretty silly to me. I don't know why I didn't go to her signing and get a book. But yeah, I think it just has to do with the fact that time constraints and where I live. One day I will go to some big book conference. That is one of my goals. Every year I say I'm going to go this year. And last year I was actually planning to go to the one in Chicago this last April, but then we had to move. So that kind of threw that out the window. With everything going on there was just no way I could swing a trip to Chicago. So, but one day I will go to one and I will do all the author signings and meet all the authors and have a great old time. So that is my 15 book related confessions. Let me know if I shocked you with any of those or not. I don't think they're that bad. There's a few that I kind of wish I could redo, but oh well, that's the way it is. So I will post again my day 2. Day 2 is my bedtime reading ritual. This one probably won't be that interesting, but I'll try to make it fun. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Busted.